into a hole. And there was, you might know about how he tied it up in a time like that. See, that was the 2nd day of October, and we was in there 5 days. We got in there, and there's riflemen all around us with telescope sights, and they was causing hell all the time. And we didn't have anything. Now the officers brought in some grub. They'd got all of it. Well, but privates, that is my squad. I don't know how some others was. What was left of us.
And the officers wouldn't share their food with the enlisted men?
No, they took it all. You see, they could, whenever they'd get through with the baggage come to it, they took it to the captains.
Did the Americans have any snipers on their side?
What?
Did the Americans on the Lost Battalion, did they have any snipers to combat the German snipers you mentioned?
Oh, the Germans, that sniper still around. It's a telescope sight.
Did the Americans have any telescope sights?
If there's a telescope sight among them, I didn't know. All we had was, well, that old gun that I had, you couldn't hit a target over 100 yards, so it just wore out. Well, I was talking about, if I could think of his name, he'd probably use it. And it tied me up. Well, as soon as I got my breath and got over my shot, enough to do, I was going to go back to help my partner out. And when I got to him, he had been shot. Well, the bullet had just come down to his rifle barrel and took both sides off of it and hit him right in the temple. But he was still alive. And every time he'd breathe, there'd be a bubble raised on the side of his head. Well, gosh, I couldn't really get him up out of the mud and water. They'd had the clothes shot off of him in a little bit, I figured. Well, I had to just let him lay there in the mud all this time. I can't think of his name. Probably when I go to bed tonight, this will all drop up and I remember it. I'm sure I can't remember.
Did you get him out of there finally, or?
No, he was still laying there but he was alive yet when they come through and took me out of there. The doctor come in there. I told them there, see, I was on there day and night, trying to be as best I could.
Well, you were completely surrounded by this time, your outfit?
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't any way to get out.
No, I never. Well, I don't know whether they. I know there's folks in there that talked about trying to go back. But there's one corporal and a squad started back. I talked to some of them afterwards, but they all got taken prisoners when they got back to this trench where I told you that's camouflage trench. They come down that, you see, and they told me they'd put a big machine gun every 5 steps down that. I know the little ones in between them. So we were cut off till they come through. And then I talked to some of them fellows that come through there. But they come through in the night. They come a dark, rainy night. And they crawled in there, they said they could hear them Germans whisper to one another. And they got mixed up in there and the Germans pulled out and went back. That's how we got out. But I was laying there, shot up and all in, about, it was beginning to get light in the east. I felt the sun coming out. And I woke up, and there was a fellow kicking me in the ribs. And he had a black suit on. And I said, "Who are you?" Well, he says, "I'm a doctor." Well, I said, "You a German doctor or American doctor?" Oh, he says, "I'm a German." Oh, I says, "How in the hell did you get there?" Well, he says, "We come through here about 2 o'clock last night." He says, "You was in such an awful mess, you was sure that we just went on and left you till daylight till you see." He says, "Well," he says, "you fellows is running awful." I said, "You run an awful deed or something like that. I don't know how he did this." But he says, "You were probably here, there's about 1,600. He says, "There's 2,500 men," he says, "killed. They're coming through here to you fellows."
2,500 Germans killed?
Well, he didn't say it, the Americans is what he was talking about. He says, "There's 2,500 Americans killed." He says, "Coming through here to you." Well, they put a tag on me. Well, he was kind of excited too. And I said, "Ain't you going to give me a tag?" He says, "Well, I'm getting back." He said, "I ain't fit to go on." Well, he put a tag on me. And it says here, it says there's a boy. I don't think, I think that boy told me he was just 18 years old. There was his hand shovel. The bullet just come through his hands there and cut all these bones out. There was just part of his hand, the hide hanging down there. He says, "You take care of this boy." Well, he says, "Can you walk?" I says, "Yes, I can walk." Well, when they went to get him out of there, it was such a sight that I ever seen. I remember about one big fellow. He was, I think he must have been a Western man coming down there. He had 2 sticks walking, with a cane and walking on all fours. And you see that come down this road or down this draw with bread and stuff there. And he see a fellow eating a loaf of bread. He was just biting it off on this loaf of bread. And this fellow was walking with that cane. Well, be damned if he didn't throw down both damn canes and walked over there, took that loaf of bread away from that fellow and broke it in two and then back there of it. It's been a long time since we've had anything to do. Well, so I had a clip of cartridges. For that is, there's on that side, there wasn't but one clip of cartridges. See, them bells have two clips, but I'd shot out one belt, and there's just one clip in there. And a bullet went through there and cut them 5 cartridges in two on my belt. I took that, I seen what that was. The powder went to run down my leg the first I noticed it. I thought about saving that for, you know, a souvenir. But I'd like to say that if I get out of here alive, that's enough. And I didn't. Well, I went down there and went through that line where they was feeding 2 times, I think. And so they took my gun away from me 2 or 3 times, but I wouldn't give it up. One fellow took it away from me and the doctor and threw it in the brush, and I went and got it. And I said, "There's Germans left behind us." But then I hung the carriage belt on that, and I went through this line down below and hung the carriage belt on it. And left there and started back. Well, we didn't go but little ways as long as this boy was 18 years old. I was 28 or 29 years old. 28, I think it was at that time. And we met a first aid man coming down the trail. And he looked at this boy, and this boy had been telling me his hand was stinging something. "Oh, you ever smell blood poison?" I said, "Boy, you ever do. It smells rotten." He smelled his hand. He says, "You're going to have to go." And he says, "Where you shot?" I was down the chest. And he smelled down my collar, and he says, "You don't have to go." He says, "You better get here in the brush and do the best you can till night." Well, I went around there to find the place, and I found there where the jury said a place for the horses. They'd throw brush over the top. And I went in there and laid down on that manure. It was warm. It was cool. And it wasn't a little bit till the cure, but that was discovered was wounded soldiers dropping in there. And there was a Red Cross man in there, and he was getting rich. He says, I've got enough for all of you. But he says, I'll sell you a package of cigarettes, a cigar, and 9 jelly beans for $1. That was stuff that you people here at home would have been given for the soldiers. Well, this fellow in there, just getting in by to me, he was just a kid, like. He says, I haven't got any money. Well, I have money. Well, I says, I'll pay for his. And he took that $1 that I give him for this. And I paid him for mine, you see, $1. But I've been trying to think, and I can't make it out. I thought about it 2 or 3 times. Whether that fellow give me this $1 back or not, I don't know, but I paid for this other one. I kind of thought maybe that he handed me $1 when I went out after it got dark. Well, they loaded 4 of us in one of them little old cars that's on that track. You see, this is the side of this railroad. It was narrow gauge. It wasn't so it was about 2 feet between the rails or something like that. Well, they put 4 of us in there. I'm sick, oh my God, I couldn't stand it. I kept begging to get out. Well, I said, this is all the chance you got. He says, you never get out of here. He says, alone. He says, you'll have to stay in. Well, that night, we stopped in that Theodore Roosevelt's store. Who belonged to it? You see him, he come right down there in a horse and asking about getting in there. It was dark. Well, let's see, we went from there. Well, I thought we went in the hill, but they let down a curtain so they could open the door, and we went in. I think it was a Catholic church that we went in, and then there was some fellow coming through there after that a little bit. And this lieutenant that I never told you about him, too. He was shot in the same. He'd come to me in this trench and was here, or this foxhole that I'd dug in there. And he had a pair of field glasses. And he raised up them field glasses and tried to look around, and pretty soon he snipers I got him. I don't know where it went to. Wait a minute there. He says, where's that? Where's that? And I says, I think you're shot. I see a bullet hole through your mess kit. He had a mess kit tied on the back of his shoulder. You see, and I see a bullet hole through that. I says, there's a bullet hole in your mess kit. Well, they give us a blanket in there when we was in this church. Each fellow got a blanket. And this lieutenant, up there before. There was it was good and dark. There's a kind of a bus. With the whole soldiers around. I don't know. I heard the German names or the French name, but I can't think of what they call them. He come out, and this lieutenant and me, they put us up right as the driver. And I says, well, how's he saying how to drive? Well, he says, he's German, or Russian, Frenchman. He don't know what you'll say. But he was driving, and Tom Brooks down here told me about he was a driver up there. And there was ruts through there that kind of field, you see, with the trucks. I think we went through town. Well, anyhow, they put me in an old hotel place. Outside, they put me back in a place. I don't know whether they ever got out of there if I hadn't been able. I think I was 2 days of getting back to this place where they could get me to. After they hauled me in this old car of a thing.
It was like 4 days from the time you were shot before you got to a hospital, huh? Is that about how long it took altogether? About 4 days?
Yeah, I think about 4 days. I got back to look at this crew. You see, this lieutenant and me walked into this place where they had a hospital. Well, they had sheets kind of drawn up under big trees, and the fellows was laying around there on the ground, and I was laying there, but I and this lieutenant walked in there together, and I noticed they all come to attention in there when they come in, and well, he was a commissioned officer. And he said, one fellow come to me, and he said, do you know who that was? He says, you come in here with? No, I said, yeah, I says, I know him. He says, he was a lieutenant. I says, we come in from the front together. Yeah. He says, that's all you know about him. Well, he was some millionaire son from New York City. And I can't think of his name. I could have probably seen his name. Well, they took him right off and left me standing there. Well, they had a bunch of privates and one doctor out there, and they was getting lockjaw shots. And this doctor told me, he says, give them a shot, he said, between where they're shot in their heart. Well, when it come to me, it says, well, what am I going to do with this for? He shot in the left chest. He says, give it to him on his breastbone. Well, he shot he kept working in there on my breastbone till he got some kind of a big outfit in there that squeezed, and then he shot a lot of dope into me. And I think that was love killer shots. What I think it was, I don't know. Well, they put me out on a cot. I laid there. And that night, there's a blind train. That is, all the lights was on. They come into this place. And there's two German prisoners who come with a stretcher to get me. They're going to put me on a stretcher. Well, no, you folks never put me on a stretcher. I can walk if you'll help me. Well, one of them got on one side, and the others, and they helped me. And they let a cloth down over us so they could open the door so we could go into this hospital train. Well, there I was loaded in on the hospital train. It was just like, oh my God, I thought I'd die for a moment. We went through Paris that night. So I was told, but I was too sick to do it. I just laid there. They never put me in the bed. There was a nurse on there, and she'd give me some OD pills. That's it. Don't matter what you had, whether you had shrapnel or what, you got OD pills. Well, I can't think of where we landed, but we went on a train. Or was on a train. It helped me off, and that fellow, his put his hand on there before I was shot. And it hurt, oh my God. I just laid down on the ground and fell. Well, he says I didn't know, certainly. He said, apologize to me for hurting me. Well, I can't, I'm sorry, I can't give you a better list of options.
Well, I'd like to ask you a question. Back up here a second.
Well, that helps me.
Yeah.
Question.
This German doctor, when he put a tag on you.
No, this was American doctor.
Oh,
He
American
came through
doctor.
with it.
He came through the German lines. Is that what it was? It was
No.
Oh.
He'd come in with this relief to come through. He'd come with them.
Okay. And then he put the tag on you and sent you back through the lines. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they put me, I don't know, in a Catholic hospital, and my blood case and that's the reason I don't get any more pension. They never sent hospital record in,
Oh,
and I can't get it. I'm going down the third and see if I can get that straightened up. You see, World War I vets got a free hospital deal any place they wanted to go. I think was what I understood. But I had to go and have my eyes tested. And I went for something else too. They were in record. They didn't have my record. See, they never sent that in. I come back and I was discharged. Well, it says, where's your hospital record? Well, I said, I ain't got no hospital record. I was in the hospital all over. The next spring, I went back to the company. Way up in northern France. It was the terrible place I think I ever seen.
were you there in the Army of Occupation? Did you serve in Germany in the Army of Occupation after the war? Your unit came home right after the armistice, or not right after?
Yeah, I come home. Well, I didn't. It was a long time. We thought we was going to get out of there, you see. We thought they was going to send us home. But we didn't get it. We stayed up there in northern France for a long time, and I was looking, we was further north.
Well, what did you do when you came back home then? Did you come back home here, or did you?
Oh, yes.
Did you go
Well,
back?
I tell you, I went back to Illinois. See, it's been 9 years, I think, since I've been home.
Mm.
And my father and mother was living then. And I got them a gun package.
Hmm.
I went back there for a few days, for a little while, and then I come back to the homestead.
I've often wondered in my own mind what it must have been like for somebody such as yourself to leave an area like this.
Huh?
Well, I just often wondered what it must have been like for somebody that lived on a farm in Montana to, in the space of about 2 or 3 months, wind up in the trenches in France.
Oh, I didn't have much training.
Yeah.
We went right in.
But that must have been a real shock because you'd never seen Europe, you'd never been overseas, and then all of a sudden you're right in the lines like that. Must have been a real shock, huh? Did it take you a while to get over the war after you got home, to get it out of your mind?
Oh, gosh, I got married. My wife was afraid to sleep.
Really?
I was back there in Illinois and stayed down there in Uncle's place one night. He lived there across the railroad, and there was a couple where the trains come out. And they come down there, a train, and bursted out of that cut there and come in there all at once. He says, well, I'm going to sleep with you no more. I went back up to the Logan camp, where it's Logan, that there's the old man Stark was his name. And we was in the cabin up there. I was afraid to stay in that cabin after all this was going on.
Well, you'd wake up in the night.
Yeah, I was awful nervous.
Well, what about Major Whittlesley?
Yeah.
He committed suicide, didn't he, after the war?
Well, he was not the only one. I don't know how many of them that come out of there. Now you see, Wibbs Whiting, because they went here from Madison County to me, committed suicide. And
Was he in the 77th also? This Whiting fellow, was he also in your unit?
Oh yeah, he was in the same squad. We got together.
Webb Whiting was his name?
With Whiting, yes. His sister's living up here to Dillon, yes.
What was her name?
Franco Keeswa. Hazel.
Hazel, yeah.
I'm just making note of that. Hazel, what's her last name now?
O'Keefe.
O'Keefe? O'Keefe, huh? O-K-E-E-F-E? Mrs. Smith?
Oh, gosh, my brain just looked at it like, I'm afraid to be wrong. She can tell you better than I can.
Were there were a number of men from this area that were in your unit, huh? Around Montana?
Well, there's quite a lot of Montanans in that unit. But there was Fred Miller and me and Whiting, I think was all that was in. Oh,
And Waldmiller.
well, wall building was from Drummond.
Yeah.
And Reed, what was that Reed's name? I can't think of anything more.
What name? You spell O'Keefe. O-K-E-E-F-E.
And that was this Whiting's sister?
Yeah.
What was his first name?
Well, his first name was Frank and hers was Hazel.
Frank? No, this Whiting. What was his first name?
What was his first name, Sid?
Whiting?
Whiting.
Whiting?
Uh-huh.
Oh, you know, I'm just,
Well, she would.
Webb
Whiting.
Whiting. Oh,
And he was from this area also, huh?
yeah. And Fred Miller, he was from Madison County. But there was just 3 of us. No 4. Now, I talked to Webb about this Reed. But what he had done, he dropped out in the air guard. He got in there and laid out in the brush. And he didn't go through with us. Where he told me himself about it. Went up on the ditch one time. I told him he was supposed to be, right. But he dropped out. But I didn't tell that to his father and mother did.
Did you or Mrs. Smith ever remember a fellow named Solomon Baker that was from Twin Bridges? That name familiar?
I don't.
What, do you know him, Ma?
No.
Okay.
What is his name?
Solomon Baker. B-A-K-E-R. Okay. Well, we got some pretty good